Hey guys, this is Senpai with one. Oh my Pantheon 8.3. Yeah, I gotta talk about a couple things here. Namely, I had a guildie ask me, who is Wrathion? And also, why did Anduin punch Wrathion? To which, of course, is my time to shine. So, we gotta back up a ways. Whoops, that's a bit too far back. That's better. Not everyone may have done this after Cataclysm, but there's a whole bunch of story in the wake of Deathwing's destruction of, well, Azeroth. A very key piece of that is in the Badlands when we meet a goblin who is doing some very important work. We work with Rhea to steal some eggs from a black dragon nearby, and we work to cleanse one of them from the old god corruption. The end of this questline leaves us with the knowledge that Rhea was not a goblin, but a dragon, and a red dragon at that. And that will be important a little later in Wrathion's story. The cleansing itself is also very important, because as we know, Deathwing got all kinds of crazy mind-numbing voodoo up in there from N'Zoth, and he wants to make sure that corruption continues in his progeny. After we cleanse the egg, Rhea gets lured into a trap in a cave in which Deathwing himself comes to deal with her. Believing he destroyed the egg, he flies off, but Rhea's left us a note saying that that was one of her own eggs, a sacrifice to make sure the newly cleansed black dragon egg survived. It's quite heartbreaking. Later on, this egg hatches, while in the possession of the red dragonflight. The goal of this is to make sure that it was kept safe from the old gods. Wrathion became the first known uncorrupted black dragon. However, once Wrathion hatched, he didn't particularly like being held essentially captive by the Reds, and escapes to Ravenhold, where he eventually sends rogues on their quest for the legendary daggers in Cataclysm. By the way, dragon aging is really weird because he was, like, at most a year old at this point. Now, why did Anduin punch him? I will first say, it was entirely warranted and absolutely glorious, though a little out of character, which I'll get to in a minute. First, we need to head over to Pandaria, where we find Wrathion again. Surprisingly, this part is unimportant for the point I'm making today, aside from the knowledge that this is where he and Anduin meet and become friends. Instead, we need to delve into the Siege of Orgrimmar, where we fight Garrosh with the heart of Y'Shaarj, who was another old god. Once we deal with him, leaders agree that he should stand trial. We see in the novel War Crimes by Christie Golden, which is fantastic and you should all read it or listen to the audiobook. There's also some pretty important information about Sylvanas in there if that's more your speed. During the trial of Garrosh, Wrathion teams up with someone else, Kairos, who is actually Kairos Dormu, a bronze dragon. Why is that important? Even though the dragons were weakened after the Cataclysm, bronze dragons still have a lot of weird, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey powers, which is key in what leads up to Warlords of Draenor. Kairos somehow thinks he'll get into the good graces of the Infinite Dragonflight, I believe is his ultimate goal, so he helps Wrathion basically secret away Garrosh through a portal to a weird time-shifted alternate reality Draenor where the orcs have not banded together, have not consumed the blood of Manaroth, and have not crossed it to Azeroth. Now, this is where this fits in with Anduin. This whole plan, getting to Draenor, eventually leads to Gul'dan coming to Azeroth, and therefore leading the Burning Legion right back to our front door. And you may remember, it was Gul'dan who ended Varian's life, and pretty gruesomely. And so for Anduin, all of this is Wrathion's fault. But as Wrathion pointed out, that's a pretty small bean since his father is dead because of the old gods. One of which we just let free because of Azshara. Then Wrathion explains exactly how N'Zoth will attack, in our minds, and making some act contrary to their nature, as Anduin realizes, and Wrathion points out that it has already started. Anduin even comments that he was not himself, and apologizes for his conduct. Now obviously I did skip over a few things, but these were the important bits for this particular story, and answering these two particular questions. Obviously there will be much more Wrathion coming in the future, because, well, look at him. Young, hot, uncorrupted. There's also the seemingly tied destiny of the Rin family and the Black Dragons dating pretty far back. For now though, I'm Senpai and I'll notice Wrathion. I'll notice you next time.